What is going on, everybody? It is Wednesday, which means a new summit is now live on the Crew 2. This one is back to the 50s, bringing us a chance to get, well, back to the 50s tint for that matter, which I gotta admit, it looks pretty cool. I'd say a lot of people might not want to get on and get this one, though, because it is just a window tint. Nonetheless, though, in gold, we have Legendary Half Set Boosted, which is going to be a live award stiffer set for the Rally Raid, which honestly, it's actually a really good, useful set, especially on that class, because the Rally Raid vehicles are normally the vehicle that can actually go get those because, well, they're normally in the middle of nowhere by a bunch of trees and stuff. Obviously, silver, we have some spare parts there, and then 150k followers, which is pretty normal for a bronze award. Moving over to the only summit left until, well, the next season in the Crew 2, which is absolutely insane. So this one I have a Loot Digger boosted for the Rallycross class, which honestly could be pretty dang good. Not really sure why it has Bucks and the other perk on there, though, because if you want a Loot Digger, you're going to want other perks, like Lucky and Gold Finder. Nonetheless, though, that could be pretty decent, and maybe if you guys do not have the Loot Digger set for Rallycross, you could get that set and then add those other two parts on there. It could be a pretty good idea, because at least you can change the affixed stats on the sets the game gives you. Nonetheless, though, this summit looks pretty cool as well. Nice little mix of races here. Basically street and off-road for that matter, and then a nice little drift event there, which we have not seen in a while. Then after that, we'll have to wait and see what the next season is about. Anyway, let's jump into this summit. Moving over to the back to the 50 summit here, guys. So starting right off with the Slalom here is actually going to be on a racetrack, so we do get to use a ground vehicle for these. Now, to be honest, you could pretty much use any ground vehicle on these as long as you guys have Scorebreaker. I'm actually running a touring car bike here, which the Panigale are is what I've pretty much been running on any of the road ones, and I basically can compete with all the off-road Rally Raid vehicles. Now, if you are wondering, that crazy set on the Rally Raid class doesn't actually matter on the Slaloms because you only get 156k or so anyway. So 155k is basically like what I have there, for example, is pretty much going to be the best you can do. I really don't see a point of improving for like 800 points there. So if you guys are like getting upset and all that, because I know like it could be kind of frustrating on how these people are getting such high scores. I've been there as well. And I just realized that as long as you get a decent score on these with pretty much a Scorebreaker set, you're honestly good to go, so I really wouldn't worry too much about that actual Rally Raid set there. Because I was honestly wondering about that as well for the longest time. Does that set actually make a difference? To be honest, I really don't think it does at all when it comes to the Slaloms and the Summits. Moving over, we have the Escape here, which is actually going to be, well, honestly, a pretty annoying one. I ran the Bugatti Divo, which did a really good job. And, well, this one, the beginning part's probably going to be the hardest because you guys got to jump off, like, a mountain area. There's trees everywhere, a huge rock, and kind of, like, hills and stuff. Once you get on the road, though, you're pretty much good to go for the most part, I guess, except for how small the road is. There's normally cars everywhere. And, well, if there's one car on the road, you're pretty much screwed, honestly, if you try to go around a turn or something like that. Now, the Bugatti Divo did a great job here. Obviously, touching the grass with a piece of your tire slows the car down tremendously, so be a little careful. The road's pretty small, but I got like 8,000 yards on this. Still got almost 154,000 points, which is honestly pretty high on this. It's pretty much maxed. Normally get 157k is like a maxed like point threshold, I think, on any of the races for that matter. So 154k is pretty dang good. And then the aerobatics is pretty straightforward as well. I ran the lovely Zivko Edge 540 V3, which is my favorite plane to use in the air race class. And honestly, this event's pretty easy. It's pretty straightforward, and you pretty much just hit the checkpoints in green the best to your ability there. And luckily, there's not too many crazy turns in this one. They're pretty much in a straight line and right to the end there. Moving over to the drag race, it's actually going to be located in the Salt Flats. And I was kind of worried about this one when I saw it. Initially, I was like, oh, I'm going to need someone to slipstream. Luckily, it turns out you actually do not need to, which is pretty awesome. I did the solo, got 134,000 points. I got a little over 12 seconds on it, which, this track is not as long as I thought it was going to be, and I ran the lovely Corvette, which because, well, that thing is absolutely insane, and it pretty much can do it all. I recommend picking that thing up if you guys have not already, which I'd say most people have because it's kind of hard not to miss the Corvette, especially doing the escapes with it because, there's like 40 of them lined up ready to go in a straight line, which is kind of hilarious. And then moving down here is going to actually be a no restriction street race, which you all know I ran the Lamborghini Gallardo Superleggera because this thing is absolutely insane and, well, did this race with ease. It's actually a pretty fun race to do. It's got a lot of turns and stuff in it, and I honestly feel like the Superleggera just honestly did a wonderful job on this one. Also, I wanted to mention, anyone else having issues with this game crashing? My goodness, every time I do the summit recently, I've been crashing a good amount, which is kind of annoying. Anyway, moving over to the Cyclone XP74 concept race is going to actually be Mother Road 66. This race is actually pretty open as well, and luckily the Cadillac's a pretty dang good vehicle. Well, at least for what it is, I guess, so to speak. It did a pretty good job on this race, and there's some turns in here that definitely puts the car to the test, though. I recommend trying out my settings. Be a little careful, though, as well, because this car's kind of wonky how it shifts and stuff like that, so do keep an eye out. I did run it in manual, which probably wasn't the greatest idea. Moving down here to the Aerobatics event, probably the most annoying one in this entire summit, honestly. I feel like a lot of people hate these. Luckily, the area this one's actually in is not too bad. I actually had a good time on it. The Pilatus PC21 is by far my favorite plane to use on the actual stunt type of events like this one. When it comes to like a race like the last summit, I prefer to use the Zivko Edge. But nonetheless, though, I feel like this aerobatic event is definitely going to annoy a lot of people. Luckily, this one really isn't too bad. Big tip on these as well, guys. Luckily, all the actual little challenges in these are actually the same here, so you don't actually have to worry about those. They do not change unless you want to skip them, and luckily, they seem pretty easy to do. Moving over to the touring car race, I ran the lovely Renault RS01 because this car is absolutely insane. I love using it, and this race was a lot of fun as well. You will lap the other races, obviously, because, well, technically, you don't actually belong in this race anyway because the car you're using doesn't actually belong in this one. Same with the one coming up over here is going to be the touring car other race. That's actually you have to use the Mercedes, which is made for the other touring car race. Man, this is all over the place, isn't it? But anyway, moving into this race really isn't too bad either. It's going to be the Coconut Grove, which honestly, some of the turns in this race could be pretty annoying. The car did a lot better than I thought it was going to do. I got 2 minutes and 32 seconds, 420 on this. But nonetheless, I gotta admit, this car is actually pretty decent. I did fix my settings on it for it to be a little bit better. Definitely check this out if you guys are struggling. And there's a couple of cuts you could do in this race that might improve your times a little bit. The biggest thing is making sure you guys can keep your speed up on the turns. Anyway, let's get right into some. If you all got any questions at all, let me know in the comments below.
2, 1.